Howell, and we're talking about how to pivot in the middle of a pandemic. Christina, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
All right, I'm glad to have you. And you know what? I got to give full disclosure up front. Yes, there's a resemblance in the last name. That is because she is indeed a Howell. She's our youngest daughter, our oldest daughter, our firstborn. I was trying to say firstborn, uh, which would not make her the youngest, but the oldest. At any rate, she's an entrepreneur in her own right. And today we're talking with her about how she has maintained a successful business in the middle of this pandemic. So, Christina, I want to start out. First of all, let's talk about what led you to becoming an entrepreneur and when you first launched Kirby Fox and what that process was like for you. And then we'll get into all the success that you're having right now with adding the additional lines.
Okay. Yeah, so what led me to becoming an entrepreneur? I think it was I came into my 20s as a mother, and actually coming into my 20s as a single mother, trying to figure out a way, like, what do I do from here? Realizing that I have more responsibility. It's not just the going to work and going to the club thing anymore. It's figuring out what is my purpose and how can I provide for my child. And so that journey ended up leading me to entrepreneurship. When I think back on it now, a lot of the things that I did in my early 20s was me being an entrepreneur, but I didn't see it like that at that time. It was just a hustle for me, a way to make, extra money. But in 2013, I actually ended up getting let go from my full-time job. And at that point, I felt like I never want this feeling again of being dependent on a company and going to work one day and they're saying, you know what, this is it. And then trying to figure out what to do from there. So I realized at that point, I wanted to build something for myself. So that way I would always be only dependent on myself for how I would pay my bills and things of that nature. And that's when I started working on Kirby Fox. I looked into, what was it that I was really passionate about. I've always been passionate about fashion. Growing up, my dad, who you see here, would always tell me, you wear your money, So I literally wore my money. And so now today I am literally wearing my money on a vacation. I wear my money to travel and see the world and create ventures and memories with my friends and my sister. And so that was kind of my journey. I know it's long-winded, but as you know, most entrepreneurs, it's never an overnight success. There's a lot of things that end us, to the door of having to say, you know what, I just gotta take this leap.
Yeah. Wasn't long-winded at all. I mean, it's your journey, and it's helping us to really get a better perspective and understanding your journey because there are other people who go around and down that same road. So 7 years of Kirby Fox, swimwear line, primary focus with the swimwear line, great success with that. But then let's go now and talk more about, at what point did you decide, okay, I want to do more than the swimwear line and start bringing in additional items into the Kirby Fox line?
So that actually was a decision. So when I first launched Kirby Fox, I launched it wanting to create a plus size fashion house. I wanted to be the Gucci of plus size fashion. I wanted to be able to offer purses and shoes and beauty and skincare and fashion and all those things. And when I actually started learning the manufacturing process and going through and creating my first line, which was actually a ready to wear collection, which is typically like your skirts, your dresses, tops, things of that nature. I realized, you know what, I don't know that I can afford to be a plus size fashion house at the time. So when after we launched that first collection, which did not do good at all, I didn't sell anything. I got a lot of great feedback on it, but I never got any sales. And at that time I was getting ready for my birthday. I'm a summer baby, so I like to always, try to take some sort of trip for my birthday. And I was working on a swimsuit for me specifically, and I sent it to my pattern maker at the time. And she was like, you know what, this is really good. You should just focus on, swimwear because you can repeat this, and once it builds itself up, you'll be able to, add on additional things. The business will be able to support it at that time. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I do always have a hard time finding swimsuits, hence the reason why I was trying to create my own. And so I was like, okay, let's try it. and in April 2017, launching the swimwear brand. And going through, I was still trying to figure out how I can release different things, because of course I want it all right now. Like, I don't like to wait for things. Once I get an idea, I'm ready to go right then. Especially don't let me have any extra funds at the time. I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
And so it's always been a desire of mine to be able to do more. It's just been finding a way to be able to do it in a way that made sense, and not just throwing things out there because I want it, but throwing things out there that my customers want, that they have, they purchased something that's similar to it, or they've even asked us, hey, do you offer this? I check the search bar of our website a lot to see what kind of searches are coming in from customers, to get an idea of what to offer next. And so that's kind of what it's always been a goal, to be able to offer more. It's just figuring out when and how to do it.
Good deal. Okay, so you said something there a moment ago that I really want to delve into more, and I believe plays a large role in the success that you had. You're not someone who just had an idea about having a swimsuit line, things of that nature, and having cute clothes. You also started educating yourself and doing the due diligence to understand the back end of your website. How you just talked about a moment ago, how you are able to see what folks are searching for on your website. That's the type of education that you took on to make sure that you could have a full-fledged e-commerce business. Talk about some of the steps that you took to be able to get that level of education, to be able to understand what it is that your customer base is looking for.
Okay, so the steps I took to kind of educate myself was, one, starting with what I didn't know and figuring out what those resources out there that were available. I mean, from the very beginning, learning manufacturing, I don't have a fashion background. My background is in information technology. So having to even learn, what does that look like to manufacture a product? I searched forums and Amazon and Google, everything, looking for resources that had a lot of good reviews for people who said they were able to create products that way. And when I first started out, I did pay graphic designers and web developers to create my site. But if something was to happen, of course, when I was first starting, I didn't have a lot of money. So if something happened, I would kind of just be stuck, because I didn't have the money to pay them to fix it, or it just wasn't fixable. It was like I had to transition to a different site or something of that nature. So again, wanting to be self-dependent on making sure that I was able to continue to pay for the things that needed to be paid for to push my business forward, and not having to budget for the website and budget for product and budget for, all the other expenses. I taught myself doing the same thing, going on forums, reading books. I spent a lot of time on Shopify's community board, reading some of the things that people are having issues with their site, or if there's a really good app out there. I buy a lot of ebooks on Instagram from different people, just trying to get knowledge on, what has worked best for them, especially if they're a six-figure business. I don't just go off of people saying they've made six figures. Like, I look at the numbers. If you've posted me your numbers that are relevant, their current numbers, then I want to know, what are you doing at this time to keep those numbers, and what tools and apps are you using? So that's what I do to educate myself.
And I think this is extremely important, the fact that you're willing to invest in yourself. When you say you're going into business, you've got to be willing to invest, and particularly invest in your education and the training to get the knowledge that you need. And again, I have already given the folks a full disclosure in talking about the fact that you're our daughter. And I will tell you, part of the reason that's prompted me to want to do this interview with Christina and to bring these principles of success to share them with you is because I have seen throughout this pandemic, she lives in Atlanta, but has now come back to Dallas-Fort Worth to be with us during the time of this pandemic. And I will tell you, I feel like my house has become a warehouse. My entire downstairs anymore no longer feels like a living room at all. I mean, there are boxes and boxes upon boxes that are everywhere. And then the UPS, DHL, Federal Express, and whoever, anybody else that delivers a pigeon with a bottle is delivered something every single day. Yeah. In multiple packages, because folks are placing orders online. So I wanted to have her to talk about this whole e-commerce piece, because I think, again, the way that things are shifting now, we have to be looking at different models, different processes, and what we're going to do as entrepreneurs, and how do we shift to primarily go to an online business, if in fact you're not already doing that, or you may be doing that to a small degree now, where that now you may have the opportunity to grow that if you're willing to invest the time, invest in your education, and really get up to speed and understand. That's an area that I'm being challenged in myself, because a lot of what we do is actually going out meeting customers face to face. So when we start talking about e-commerce and e-products, things of that nature, we do have to get up to speed and understand that process. So Christina, I want to come back to you and talk about, and you talked about what put you in the mindset of making this transition, but let's talk about what you feel has attributed to the success. I talked about the education piece of it, but what else do you feel has really allowed you to be as successful as you've been throughout this pandemic?
I'd say the biggest thing that allowed Kirby Fox to be successful during this pandemic would be the fact that I got out of my own way. You know, I was very stuck in the way of how I wanted to do things. You know, I had met with different marketing people. I invested money in marketing specialists and had them create plans for me. And I've tested multiple, and all of their plans included one thing: me going live. And that's something I was not willing to do. I don't want to be the brand. I want Kirby Fox to stand on its own. I'm not trying to be the celebrity in the brand. Like, you don't know what the CEO of Forever 21 looks like. You don't know what the CEO of JCPenney looks like. I don't think you should know what I look like. But they all said the same thing. The customers want to know who they're buying from. And so actually getting ready for National Virtual Vacation Day, which just happened to fall at the very beginning of this pandemic, you know, wanting to do a virtual event to kind of go along with the theme of swimwear and traveling. And it just made sense. And so we're like, okay, we're going to do this virtual cruise. And we do the virtual cruise, and everybody loved it. They were really engaged. A lot of people know I go by a nickname. And somebody mentioned my nickname on one of the lives, and now all the girls call me by my nickname. Like, we are the best of friends to them. We're virtual BFFs. Wow. And a lot of them, they instantly leave the live and go purchase a product. For me, as being a single mom, I know how challenging it can be. Like, if you barely were making it and something like this comes along, it can hit you really hard. And so I wanted to do something to give back to not just single moms, but women in general that have been financially impacted by COVID-19. So in each one of the lives, they didn't know it. I would be like, oh, we're going to play a game. And so if they won that round for the game, I was like, well, DM me. I got, you know, some money for you. I never say how much it was, you know, just like, DM me. I got some money for you. And that's how it started. We would DM, and I would say, you know what, I would kind of think about it. How much am I going to send? And I would send the money. And every single person we sent money to, they were sending us their testimonials on, you know, how they really needed the money. They didn't want to say anything, but they really needed it to either buy something for their household, groceries, get their car fixed, buy a desk because they're now working from home where they would usually go into the office. And so I think people seeing how generous I was and them wanting to spread that generosity to other people, or just going back, a lot of the ladies took the money and went back and purchased swimsuits on the site. You know, even if they didn't go back that day, I saw some come back like weeks later and they made purchases on the site.
Yeah. You know, that type of creativity, I think, is what it's called for now. You know, the fact that, you know, you could have easily said, okay, I say have a swimwear line. We're in quarantine. No one's going swimming. At least they're not going anywhere outside of their home anyway. So I probably wouldn't really be able to do anything right now. But you said, no, here's an opportunity. Virtual Vacation Day is the perfect opportunity for me to now talk about my swimwear line and bring a group of women together to encourage them, to support them. And in addition to that, I'm now going to give away funds. I want to say this part as well. That was important for you to be able to connect with the women. And I think part of the reason you connected so well, and one of the things we haven't mentioned here, is it's not just a swimwear line, but Kirby Fox is really, I call it a movement. And I kind of just take it up on myself to just say that. You don't say that as much, but I see it as a movement because it's another way in which you're actually encouraging women. And talk about your tagline and what that means in terms of beauty and things of that nature.
Yes, I agree. Curvy Fox is definitely a movement. And in all of our language that you see on the site, we call it a lifestyle fashion movement. And basically, the tagline for the brand is defy the rules. And as a plus size woman, there are so many things that we're told, like you can't wear stripes, or you shouldn't wear loud colors, and you should stay away from two-piece outfits and just wear a one-piece suit, or you should make sure you don't show too much skin because you don't want to look, kind of slutty, or, whatever, risque, or however you want to say it. But there's so many rules to what plus size women can wear. And so with the swimwear line, I wanted to empower women to step outside of those rules and wear what it is that makes you confident and comfortable. Like, you had to pay for your vacation. There's no reason for you to be uncomfortable doing your vacation. A lot of plus size women have told me they've never worn a swimsuit a day in their life. Like, a Curvy Fox suit was the first swimsuit they ever purchased. They would typically wear like a t-shirt and shorts out to the pool, or, baggy, oversized shirts when they go out on vacation, or they have a really cute cover up just to kind of fit in with things. But it really was to try to get women to step outside of that and live beyond those rules of what society said is beautiful, what the proper size you should be, but really reclaiming your confidence and being bold in your style.
Yeah. And you've done a great job with that. I mean, just looking on the site, how you've been able to go out and recruit models, things of that nature, who are proud to be able to wear the swimwear lines and all the other products that you have on there as well. So really applaud you for that. So the other line that you have, thinness does not equal beauty. Talk about that piece. And again, how you guys have really just been championing that and really getting folks to understand again that thinness does not equal beauty.
Yeah, so thinness does not equal beauty actually came from, in 2016, I ended up losing about 45 pounds. And at that point, guys that I never thought would ever try to hit on me would like slide in my DMs and like, hey, can I take you out? I'm like, what changed? Well, I lost weight. So now all of a sudden I was considered beautiful to them, or somebody worth exploring, or whatever the case may be. And for me, it kind of was a confidence shaker, because it's like, to me, I look the same. I'm the same person. I'm still ambitious. I'm still outgoing. I still love to laugh and still love to crack jokes. Like, nothing changed about me other than the fact that I lost 45 pounds. And so for me, I can only imagine how other women were feeling, who hadn't lost the weight, and thinking, well, I'm never going to find a man until I lose 50 pounds or 100 pounds, or go have this surgery, or whatever the case may be. And so when I was getting ready to launch my collection last year and trying to figure out what messaging we were actually getting ready for New York Fashion Week last year. And I was trying to figure out what message did I want to put on the runways of New York Fashion Week. And I thought back to how I felt, the years prior when I lost the weight. And that's where it came from. Thinness does not equal beauty. And now today, that being the title of our podcast, Thinness Does Not Equal Beauty podcast, where this season we're talking about dating while plus size. And even like you said on the site, we have t-shirts and tote bags and things like that to help spread the messaging that thinness does not equal beauty, which has resurfaced as a conversation because of Adele's recent weight loss and her posting it on social media, and a lot of women being triggered again that, hey, she was beautiful when she was her size before, and she was still a Grammy winner and all these other things. But now more people are like, oh, she's so gorgeous. She literally looks the same. She just lost weight, Yeah. So it's resurfaced again.
Wow. And I think certainly this is an issue now that we're in quarantine, I guess in some states are starting to open back up, things of that nature. I guess for the most part, there are a lot of us who are going to come out of COVID-19 or the quarantine factor of it anyway, probably feeling like we're a little bit heavier than we were when we went into it. So, I mean, I think that whole piece may become a conversation even more as we continue to transition, or at some point maybe go back into a quarantine type status. That may become another issue that we have to address. I want to get back to, though, really talking about those four things that you feel really helped you to have the success that you've had. One of it was certainly the education piece and learning the whole back end of your website. Let's talk about the whole e-commerce business as a whole. I mean, many folks are starting to really just become acquainted with it. Talk about where you feel that you are in terms of a business owner in that process.
I think also knowing what resources are available. I think that is a big thing of kind of pivoting in times like this, knowing what resources are out there. For me, I know I don't have a low-end price product. I have, a high-end price product. So even knowing that there are resources out there for you to still have your high-end price product, but offer an option for people to be able to split that up into payments without you having to wait for those additional payments. So like on our site, we have Afterpay, I have QuadPay and Sezzle and Klarna, and all of those are ways that people can break up their payments into 4 interest-free payments. So I still get what I need from my customers, but I'm offering them a way for them to get what they need from me. But that goes back to that education piece of spending the time to see how can I pivot in, not in my pricing, but how I allow my customers to pay my price. And then also I would say Facebook ads, that is a big thing. If you understand who your audience is, you can understand how to talk to them through ads. And so when I talk to people, I've talked to several people lately about ads. I ask them, who's your customer? What do they like to eat? Where do they like to shop outside of you? What blogs are they following on social media? What celebrities are they following on social media? And those are the type of things and interests that you want to plug into your Facebook ads, because that talks to your demographic. And understanding your target audience is key. Like how old are they? Is it male? Is she single? Is she married? Because you're gonna talk to her a little bit different. Even in this pandemic, I'm starting to learn more about my customers. My customers love men. They love to see men on social media. And so even though that wasn't content that we were putting out before, we started doing the quarantine houses and things like that, because that's the content that they like. That's what they're drawing to. So not just your education on your website, but your education on your social media. What are your insights saying? What posts are your customers are saving the most? And that's that little flag, on Instagram, when you go look at the insights of the post, which one has the most saves? Well, that's the type of content that resonates the most with them. Somebody asked me the other day how much time I spend on the website of my business, how many hours a week I spend on my website. And I'm like, a week, I'm on there every day. Like, I literally spend a lot of time every day learning my business. It's not something that I put on autopilot and just expect for it to take off. Now, granted, I do get a lot of orders between 1 a.m. and 6 a.m., which I'm typically asleep during those times. So technically you are making money in your sleep, but you're doing the things during the day to make sure that you're making money while you're asleep.
Yeah, so you're doing the work on the front end, like you said, to set yourself up for success.
Yeah.
I will tell you, just hearing how you describe it, and really not just hearing it, but really seeing it up close and personal with you being here over the last couple of months, and really just understanding that you do devote a whole lot of time to it. But I think that's the key that most people miss. They don't understand that it is going to take a lot of time. It is going to take a lot of work. It is going to take a lot of dedication. These things don't just happen. It happens because you have committed yourself to it. You call yourself a business owner, and you really have to devote yourself to your business if you expect it to be able to take care of you. And I think that's the part that is extremely important, and folks need to know that. You said something a moment ago about coming out of your comfort zone, about going live, and that is going live on Instagram. So you not only did the virtual vacation, with on Instagram, but you have since started, I guess, maybe done 4 or 5 other things on Instagram that put you out of your comfort zone, that forced you to go live. Talk about what it was like for you at first and what it was like for you when you did the most recent one.
Yeah, so going live was like my anxiety just went through the roof at the thought of going live. And then the first time that I went live was in a two-piece bathing suit. So it was like, not only am I going live, I'm in a bathing suit for all these people, and it was very nerve-wracking. But you know what? I spent the first like 10-15 minutes before going live. I spent that time really in prayer and like, you know, asking God to take over my nerves, you know, and removing anxiety and just allow me to step into who he's called me to be and do what I truly feel that he placed on my heart, and which is this brand. So and once I got in it, I was okay. I wasn't nervous until I stopped talking, which was at the end of the live. And I was like, I started to get in my head again and think, well, how did that go? And things like that. But in the moment, I didn't even think about it because my customers were engaged. I'm having conversations with them, which is what I love having conversations with new people. So that part took away the nerve from me. And the fact that they're asking me about my brand. I know about my brand. I wasn't nothing that I didn't know on the live. I wasn't trying to be somebody I'm not. You know, I was just, I don't know what it was about going live. It just made me nervous.
Yeah.
You know, I guess the idea of public speaking, because I'm not a public speaker, but so that's how I looked at it, it's public speaking, and the fact that you don't know what the other person is saying or doing on the other end of your life.
Yeah. But once you got out of the fear, I mean, you know, hey, you saw that it's not that bad, you know, it's kind of cool. So you
Yeah.
started doing it again, and you did it several other times since.
Yes. And now we do it every week on Thursdays.
There you go.
Whereas most people record their podcasts and then put it on, you know, Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We're like, no, we're doing it live because, you know, I want to get the feedback. You know, this may be how dating for me is, but how is dating for you? So yeah, I definitely have enjoyed it. I still get a little nervous every time, but I have seen that it has definitely decreased week over week.
Wow, good stuff, good stuff. So in closing, what is the thing you would hope listeners would take away from this particular session?
I think we all have to take away the idea of entrepreneurship is not a get rich quick scheme. Like, it is a lot of work, and it has to be something you're passionate about, because if it's not, you're not going to put in the time and the effort. Like my dad said, I will be up till 3 and 4 in the morning packing orders, and I still work a full-time job. So I'm still have to work on East Coast time. So I have to be online by 6:45 Central Time to do my full-time job. So you're not going to want to continue to put in that type of work if it's not something you're passionate about. If money is your only reason why, you're not going to put in the time and effort that it takes to build a successful brand. And I think we also have to stop looking at it as side hustles. Like, I think the moment that I stop looking at Curvy Fox as a part-time thing that I just do on the side and start operating it as a full-on corporation, even though we're still small, I don't run my business like a small business. I run my business like I'm competing with Macy's and Dillard's and all the big box retailers out there, because that is my end goal, is to be in competition with those retailers. So if that's what that's what my end goal is, I have to start operating in that now. And that's what I would want people to take away from it.
Very well said. Very well said. Well, you know what? I'm not going to try to add anything to that. This is like just trying to come behind the pastor after he's already preached the sermon. I think she did a very good job of giving you the takeaways from this session. But again, it's been a great pleasure having her on. Thank you so much for downloading this week's podcast. Really hope that you're getting a lot out of it. In fact, why don't you go to iTunes or wherever you're listening from, leave us a review. Those reviews are helpful because, again, it helps us to get higher in the search engine, things of that nature. So why don't you go on and leave us a review? And again, it's Curvy Fox. Go to Curvy Fox. Check out Curvy Fox. We're getting ready to get into summertime. And of course, ladies, there's an opportunity for you to go and get your swimwear together. And not only swimwear, but she also has some other things out there for you as well. Christina, thank you so much for being with me this week.
Thank you.
All right. Although you're right downstairs. Thank you so much for being here. Y'all have a
Thank
great
you.
week. Talk to you later.
Bye.